My father never raised his voice, not even to whisper his feelings. He was a closed door in a draughty house, a man who met joy and sorrow with the same straight spine and steady stare. In the world he came from, men didn't unpack emotions. They stacked them neatly and left them unopened, like boxes in an attic no one ever visited. Joseph was the strong, silent kind. Bad news slid off him like rain from slate. Good news landed with the same dull thud. If life was a storm, my father stood in it unmoving, hands in pockets, collar up, daring the wind to try harder. Growing up, I thought this was strength. Later, I mistook it for distance. Only much later still did I understand it as love wearing armour. I was 9 years old the summer he won the raffle, and I saw him smile. It was a local fair, all bunting and brass bands, the smell of frying onions clinging to the air like gossip. My mother had sent him with a pocket full of coins and a list of things not to buy. He came home instead with the top prize, a bottle of whiskey so expensive we didn't know how to say its full name. We called it the Blue Label, as if naming it fully might summon something dangerous. It arrived in its own box, dark and serious. A gold coin hung around its neck like an Olympic medal. My father carried it into the house as if it were a newborn infant, cradled carefully, delicately, his arms curved in a way I had only ever seen when he held my sister as a baby. He placed it on the mantelpiece above the fireplace, front and centre, like an ancient relic set out for worship. When we asked when it would be opened, he said only, "When the occasion demands it." Those words echoed, they repeated, they settled into the walls. From that day on, our lives became auditions. My brother, my sister, and I rushed home from school, clutching certificates and stories, our words tumbling over each other like puppies desperate to be noticed. A good grade, a goal scored, a prize won. We watched his face searching for cracks. Nothing. The Blue Label sat above us, glass glinting, gold glowing, watching. It watched us grow. It watched us try. It watched us fail. Year after year it remained sealed, silent, smug. The bottle became a judge, a jury, an executioner of expectations. School turned into university, university turned into work. Degrees were framed, promotions came. Achievements stacked up like firewood, but none were enough to melt the wax seal on the bottle that remained stubbornly closed. Even the arrival of the first grandchild, tiny, perfect, warm, failed to break the impenetrable ceiling my father had so clearly set for this holy grail. We smiled through it, we joked, but privately, quietly, we grew to hate the Blue Label. It mocked us. It measured us. It marked everything we did as insufficient. The house itself seemed complicit. The fireplace crouched beneath the mantel like a servant under a king. The bottle loomed, personified pride in blue glass, whispering, "Not yet, not yet, not yet," every time we dared to hope. And then my mother became ill. It happened fast, shockingly fast. One week she was the engine of the household, laughing, cooking, carrying us all without complaint. The next she was small, fragile, withering like a leaf in sudden frost. Within days, the woman who had steered our family through every imaginable hardship, was gone. The house fell silent in a new way, not the comfortable quiet my father carried, but a hollow one, like a room after music stops. The day of the funeral was bright, painfully bright. The sun blazed as if trying to replace the warmth torn from our world by my mother's absence. Birds sang with cruel enthusiasm. The sky refused to share in our grief. My father had not left her side during her illness. He fed her, ensured her lips were never dry. He held her hand as if refusing to surrender her to death. It was a battle he could never win. At the funeral, he said nothing. He stood, he listened, he endured. What could you say when the person who was part of your very soul had gone? What words could possibly fill that void? After the service, we returned to the family home. We moved like ghosts, drifting through once familiar rooms now made strange by loss. At the living room doorway, we stopped. The blue label sentinel was absent from its post. Or rather, it was no longer whole. The box lay discarded on the floor, split and useless. The gold medal had been ripped away and abandoned. The bottle sat on the table, opened, vulnerable. Half a dozen glasses were poured and waiting, amber liquid catching the light. My father stood at the window, sobbing. Not quietly, not neatly. His shoulders shook, his breath caught. Tears tracked down his face as he took small, desperate sips from his glass, as if the whiskey were the only thing keeping him alive. His armour was gone. Seeing him like that, broken, bare, human, hit me harder than any punch ever could have. The strong, silent man had shattered, and what remained was grief in its purest form. And suddenly, everything made sense. The whiskey wasn't too valuable. It wasn't too special. It wasn't sacred. It was unnecessary. My father had already won the only prize that mattered many years before. Every day, without fanfare or fuss, he had given thanks for his good fortune in the form of the young woman called Mary he had met, courted, and married. The woman who was his partner, his compass, his meaning. Together they raised a family. Together they built a life. Together they weathered storms we never fully saw. The occasion he had spoken of to open the whiskey wasn't illustrious or triumphant. It wasn't a celebration of success or glory. It was the moment when the thing he prized most was gone, and he finally needed something, anything, to dull the pain. The blue label had waited patiently, like a faithful but unwanted guest, until it was finally called upon to serve its master. We joined him then. No speeches, no expectations, just glasses raised by shaking hands. The whiskey burned. It bloomed. It lingered. But it didn't fix anything. It couldn't. Nothing could. Later, much later, the bottle would empty. The glasses would be washed. Life would stumble forward again. But that day rewrote my understanding of my father. All those years, he had never been withholding. He had been complete. His prize was never on the mantelpiece. It was in the quiet, constant love he shared with the woman he adored.